Now we well know that the British government is not beyond murdering its own people. That's an historical fact to this very present day. And of course tomorrow they will continue on murdering the British people, equally persons of other nations. They will continue to do so. They will take their weapons of mass destruction to the Middle East and slaughter persons and smash mosques, destroy whole generations of families and destroy the economy and to rule for the mineral rights. As much as they did in the Opium Wars. If anyone doesn't know anything about the Opium Wars, look it up. Operation Gladio, the prime mover and legislator of that was the British government. If you don't know anything about that, that should be on YouTube. Now then, we come to Charles de Menezes. The Polish electrician who was here in London, England, illegally. The authorities knew he was here illegally, knew where he lived, knew all about him, but never deported him. And never, first of all, put him in a detention centre. Why? Why? Remember, he is a Polish electrician, illegally here, therefore breaking the law. And the law enforcers knowingly allow him to do so. Why? Recently we had the Home Office round the corner turn up. Police in the back of this van. Nice white van, brand new van. Amazing where you can get the money from, isn't it? With Home Office written all over it. And a Chinese girl taken out in handcuffs from this Chinese picking restaurant. Clearly an illegal. This is happening around the picking country. But not to Charles de Menezes, alright? Now then. Let's have a look at the footage. And let us remind ourselves, alright, that whenever there is a fake incident, you know, a created story commissioned by the government, paid for by the taxpayer, and every media outlet and every national paper to run with it because it's big business, there is no CCTV camera footage. None whatsoever. Though some will say, well, Stockwell had one camera footage. Yeah, well, we found that was not camera footage as such, because it had been altered. It had been altered. They presented it as CCTV footage, but it had been altered in such a way that was it CCTV footage? No. But we've got CCTV footage of so-called Charles de Menezes. Let's go.
These grainy pictures show the moments leading up to an innocent man being killed by police. The blue mark is Jean-Charles de Menezes. He was 27 an electrician catching the tube to work. But he was wrongly being pursued by undercover officers. Minutes later, he was dead. No single officer's ever been prosecuted over Jean-Charles' death. For 11 years, his family have wanted to know why. Their final chance to get answers lay here at this court in Strasbourg, but their family were left heartbroken today after losing their battle.
Of course they
I
will.
feel sad, very, very sad and disappointed.
At the time, there was a backdrop of suspicion and fear. Weeks after 7/7, another bomb plot was discovered. This one failed, but police mistook Jean-Charles de Menezes for one of the suspects and followed him towards the tube. Jean-Charles de Menezes was killed in July 2005. A year later, the Crown Prosecution Service announced no individuals should be charged
Really?
over his death. The Met Police as a body was prosecuted, and in 2007 was fined £175,000 for breaching health and safety laws. In 2008,
Hang on a minute. Where did that money go? Went back to the pigging system. It's crazy. So it's come out of the public purse in the sense of an indemnity that we pay for the police. So the police weren't actually fined. When a public body is set up, one of the things that is set up is an indemnity policy, insurance, pay into. Every government department and authority has this. It saves money against, what's that, Green Party? Sod off. It's an insurance against any litigation. And of course that insurance keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up, and it's paid for by the public purse, the taxpayer. So in this case, the taxpayer is going to pay more and more money for that indemnity, and the insurance will cover money that is actually going back to the government. So the government's making money out of it. It's making money out of it. It's just made money out of the death of an innocent Polish electrician. It's just had the insurance company pay them. How much money was it that they paid the government? Health and Safety Department? 175,000. That's madness, isn't it? Let's have a look at what the family got.
for breaching health and safety laws. In 2008, the family lodged an appeal with the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. The family have always believed the officers who shot Jean-Charles de Menezes should be held to account.
Of course they
The
should.
Crown Prosecution Service, though, said they couldn't prove the officers did not genuinely believe that he was a lethal threat, but there was not a realistic prospect of conviction.
Murder, dear, is murder. So the Crown Prosecution Service are saying that if I go walk along the street with a gun loaded and I shoot somebody dead, as long as I believe that they're a threat to me, that's fine. Because that's what you've just said. That's what you just said. This is the corruptness of the government, and we'll back that up in a moment, because somebody's going to say, well, he had hold all on him, he might have had bombs on it, so they shot him dead. Well, we'll come back to that in a second.
But the family argued there was enough evidence that could have resulted in a conviction for murder or manslaughter.
Yeah.
But the court didn't agree. His family tried to be positive.
The bad moments, I think we never forget. But now it's more peaceful. Yes.
The family say believing the police have learned from Jean-Charles de Menezes' death is the only way they can have peace.
What? You know, people are suckered into so much. Right? Do you know, at one point in this country of the United Kingdom, the officers would have been prosecuted for murder. The establishment is protecting itself more and more and more by corrupt means. Now, taking it to another external court means nothing. You pat my back, I'll pat yours. You look after me, I'll look after you. Birds of a feather flock together. And no doubt the British government have said to this other court, European court, various things to bring about a no guilty verdict. No guilty verdict. Let's just run it along a bit.
The Met Police as a body was prosecuted and in 2007 was fined £175,000 for breaching health and safety laws. In 2008, the family lodged an appeal with the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg.
Health
The family have always believed the officers who shot Jean-Charles Menezes should be held to account. The Crown Prosecution Service, though, said they couldn't prove the officers did not genuinely believe that he was a lethal threat, that there was not a realistic prospect of conviction. But the family argued there was enough evidence that could have resulted in a conviction for murder or manslaughter.
Yeah, manslaughter. The thing about this is, okay, and I'm only putting this up as an archive piece of footage. In case somebody says, you know, have you dealt with this subject? Yes, we have, as from today. Okay. The thing about this is, first of all, the police knew Charles de Menezes. Knew where he lived, knew all about him. I strongly believe that when everything is taken into consideration, that de Menezes was part of the gang who were employed by an agency whom the government had paid to blow up tube trains. I believe he was one of the gang. He was an electrician after all, and you need an electrician in setting the bombs which were placed underneath the tube floors. Okay, on those tube carriages, underground carriages, the floors blew up. Who wired them up? Isn't it too much of a coincidence for Charles de Menezes to be an electrician, to be let loose, not to be arrested, and not to be deported? They needed an electrician. Now, what about if afterwards he got a conscience and he started telling people, his mates, and so he became a loose cannon? So they had to get rid of him. Shut his mouth once for all. Why pick on this man? Of all the electricians that were engaged in setting bombs on various tube carriages, okay? Underneath the carriages again, when the floors blew up. Why pick on him? Secondly, tell me something. How did he come to be followed from his dwelling for him to get onto a bus, to get off the bus at the railway station, to go past the ticket barriers, down onto a tube, and this is very poignant, he goes down onto a tube, okay, and he gets shot 7 times in the head. That's making damn certain he's not going to live, isn't it? He's on a tube. How significant. And again, I do believe that he points to him and a gang of others, all illegals, wiring up bombs beneath the tube trains, and therefore a fitting end for him to be on a tube train. Now, the police said, well, he was a threat. We saw him as a threat when he got onto the tube train. Oh, people say, oh, yeah. Oh, they had to get rid of the threat, dispose of the threat. Yes, yeah. Right, okay. You've listened to the police. You've listened to the Crown Prosecution Service. You've listened to the government. You've listened to all these corrupt bodies. Why? Why? Do you listen to criminals? If a criminal comes up to you and he says, hey, I got this job down here, blah, 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 blah. Do you listen to them? Or why are you listening to a bunch of criminals? Just because they've got police stamped all over the piggin head, or MP on them, or whatever, it doesn't make them good people. They're criminals. They've shown themselves to be criminals. Now then, take into consideration that they followed him from his dwelling. They should have taken him out, shouldn't they? At his dwelling. Handcuffed him, surrounded the place by armed officers. Handcuffed him, taken him to the cells and into an interview room afterwards to question him. Not allow him to get onto a bus, because if they said they feared he was going to blow up a tube, then why wasn't you feared that he wasn't going to blow the bus up? Tavistock Square, remember? You said there was a bus blown up? Oh yes, there was, but there's no bugger on here. It was never proven that there was anybody on that bus. There was on the tubes. So why didn't you, authorities, stop him getting on the bus? Because he could have blown the bus up. Because you're telling us that Tavistock Square was full of people and was blown up and people got injured and died on it. Why did you allow him to do that? Why did you allow him, therefore, also to go through a railway station where he could have set off a bomb? If his bag was a bomb, he'd have picked the busiest time of day and slung it in the crowds and blown everybody up. Why? Why did you let him go down and then shoot him on the tube? Why was he a threat on the tube and nowhere else? As we say, it was a fitting end to what is clearly his part in putting bombs underneath the train. And I believe that's fair comment. Then the very circumstances. Now the authorities knew the lad and murdered him in cold blood. In cold blood. They murdered Dr. David Canny. They murdered Jill Danda. They will murder people at will when they feel like it. When a person becomes a threat to them, they will murder them. They will have a body employed to murder people and to make people disappear and to have people thrown in prison on false charges. Equally, to be thrown into prison with no charges. They don't give a damn. The government doesn't give a damn, just as long as it's safe. Just as long as it is safe. The government sanctioned the bombing of those tube trains. Operation Gladio, which has never gone away and will never go away because the British government want it to exist. As soon as it doesn't exist, they can't use it. So it keeps it simmering on the back burner to use when and where it will. People can't believe that the British government could go around killing people. Look at your history. Read your history. Don't be so damn lazy. It's littered with murder. You've only got to go back a few years. Weapons of mass destruction.